In today's video, I'll be looking at the Epomaker TH99 keyboard. It's wireless, offers hot-swappable switches, and is of course mechanical. All this at a price you could say is a bargain. On Amazon, it can currently be had for $66 during production of this video, while on the manufacturer's website, the TH99 goes for like $83. Furthermore, we are not dealing with a full-size layout, but rather the 96% or 1800 layout with 102 keys, meaning that this keyboard is indeed a bit more compact, but of course still comes with a numpad. The creamy Jade switches are quite special, both in terms of typing feel and sound, at least for me as a still somewhat inexperienced wannabe keyboard enthusiast. It's a completely new experience for me personally. So what makes today's Epomaker TH99 particularly good, and what are its downsides? Included in the packaging is the TH99 keyboard itself, a nicely sleeved detachable USB-C cable for wired use, plus a keycap/switch puller, a plastic cover that can act as dust protection, and a very nice detailed manual. Oh, and neatly tucked away inside the keyboard itself, the 2.4 GHz transmitter for wireless operation. Before we go into more detail about the keyboard's features, I'd like to point out that the Epomaker TH99 offers a total of 3 different connection options: 2.4 GHz wireless via a transmitter, then via Bluetooth, and finally wired operation via USB-C, which also charges the keyboard's battery at the same time. As already mentioned, this is a 96% keyboard, the so-called 1800 layout, with a total of 102 keys. So it's close to a full-size layout, but still noticeably more compact. Epomaker's own creamy Jade switches come into play here, which are linear and feature a usual actuation force of 45 grams. Today's TH99 is available in 2 color versions: black-white, like the one I have here today, or in white-bluish. I personally don't like the slightly rounded shape of the keyboard's body, but that's just a matter of taste, really. On the other hand, I find the black and white mix on the keycaps very appealing, and I also do like the slightly elevated spacebar. By the way, we are talking of the cherry keycap profile here, and I always love seeing double-shot PBT keycaps, which this keyboard makes use of. The font is kept nice and neutral, and even those multimedia functions are no longer printed on there to achieve a cleaner look. It should be noted, however, that the font, or rather the keycaps, are not shine-through or transparent. The font is not illuminated. I've noticed that's a deal-breaker for many. For me, though, that's not a problem at all. The TH99 comes with a really high build quality. In this price range, you wouldn't come to expect that, considering the features offered here. Keep in mind, we get USB-C, 2.4 GHz, and Bluetooth connectivity. The outer shell, however, is made entirely out of plastic. The keyboard also weighs a decent amount, around 1,200 grams. Furthermore, the board is gasket-mounted and sports 5 layers of sound-dampening materials at its core. This creates that satisfying, muffled and soft sound. On the bottom of the TH99 are 4 standard rubber feet and additional stands that offer 2 height levels. This allows us to choose from a total of 3 angles, although as always I prefer the largest angle. Now at the top of the keyboard we find the switch for the 3 connection types, plus the switch for Windows or Mac. The USB-C cable is plugged in beside these switches, making it harder to keep one's desk neat and tidy. Cable routing channels are non-existent here. This could especially look a bit untidy with the keyboard set to its highest position. Still, those that buy a wireless keyboard most likely will go for wireless operation anyway, which greatly mitigates my criticism here. By the way, we get a 4000 mAh battery here, for which Epomaker claims a battery life of up to 800 hours, but that's with the LEDs turned off. The RGB lighting is overall nicely implemented, but there's still something I found worth criticizing, and that is that the white tone is not really white, but rather greenish or cyan. Fortunately, all other colors appear to be fine. Using function key combinations, the lighting can be turned on and off, and you could even switch effects that way without the need for software. For easier and more targeted adjustments, though, and key reprogramming, I would recommend using the so-called Epomaker UpGear software solution. The software is somewhat Spartan, but quite effective. The usual adjustments can be made with it. The LEDs, by the way, are south-facing and are supposed to offer great compatibility with many different keycaps out there. As mentioned, the multimedia functions are not printed on the respective keycaps, so you have to memorize them. For me, all that really matters are the volume up and down combos. Now let's talk switches. These are the Epomaker Creamy Jade ones. They are linear, feature an actuation force of 45 grams, and are pre-lubed. So they're really soft and don't produce any scratching sounds. As mentioned in the beginning, all switches here are hot-swappable. Epomaker uses 5-pin switches. The keys of the TH99 actuate very smoothly. There's no scratching or rattling, thanks in part to the good stabilizers. This is clearly evident in the often problematic spacebar. The manufacturer has done a truly excellent job in that regard. I really like the typing feel of these creamy Jade switches. The sound is very satisfying, but at the same time quite loud, which could potentially upset roommates if you have any. Now, this is what the TH99 sounds like when typing away on it. Conclusion: the Epomaker TH99 practically won me over right away. It essentially performs just as well as much more expensive keyboards, and perhaps even offers a few more features. However, not everything about it is perfect. I would still like to remind you of the issue of the LEDs not being able to produce a clean white tone, especially since I personally like setting all my LEDs to white. I'd also have appreciated a cable routing channel for the USB-C cable. Others might also would have liked seeing shine-through keycaps. Apart from that, a truly impressive keyboard. At a price of $66 to $83, these shortcomings are easy to forgive. Both wired and wireless modes work flawlessly. However, it should be noted that you get the lowest and best latency via USB connection, and that's perfectly normal. I was also impressed with today's keyboard in terms of ergonomics. The price-to-performance ratio is very good here, if you were to ask me. Therefore, the Epomaker TH99 keyboard deserves a clear recommendation. What's your impression of the keyboard? What do you particularly like about the TH99 and what don't you like so much? If you enjoyed the video, I'd greatly appreciate a like, but I'd also be able to handle a dislike. With that in mind, thank you all for watching, and until the next one.